Greek art is wonderful because they put such a high importance and so many details in making their human bodies ideal. Renaissance art is absolutely amazing because although the art portrays a very grotesque scene, one can't help but be drawn to the picture because of its beautiful coloring, the lighting, and the emotions portrayed in each of the characters' faces. Abstract, modern, contemporary art, I think, is absolutely a treat to look at because there's so many colors, it's so abstract you don't know what is what. That is what makes art art. I admire K.L. Sadako's art style, the way you see how the light falls on the person's face, the shadows, everything, it's just beautiful. Did I mention realistic? This artwork, featured from a video game from the series The Legend of Zelda, is one of my favorites because I love the art, the contrasts, and the characters. And my own art, because I'm getting better and better each day. Plato, a classical Greek philosopher, mathematician, and writer of philosophical dialogues, made one of my quotes. A hero is born among 100, a wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. I find this quote to be very hilarious because it is incredibly true. Not everyone is as accomplished as they would hope to be. Aristotle, a Greek philosopher, student of Plato, and the teacher of Alexander the Great, has one of the best quotes, I believe, because his quote talks about humanity and the truth about humans. Here it is. Fear is pain arising from the anticipation of evil. Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American essayist, philosopher, and poet, has my favorite quote in the world ever. Here it is. To be great is to be misunderstood. I completely am in love with this quote because it is very true. People don't understand others, and therefore they'll never understand how great that person truly is. It's a very deep quote, and it is by far one of my favorite. So here's one of my quotes, and I made this from experience. Sometimes not talking at all is better than talking too much. Although this seems more like advice than a quote, here it is. If you excel in something, tell it to the world. And finally, the last quote is my own quote. Be a loyal companion until the very end. Baklava, a Middle Eastern dessert, would be ideal in my ideal society because it is one of the sweetest, most delicious tasting pastries I ever ate. Gyoza, a side dish in Japan, would be one of the staple foods in my society because gyoza is delicious, is very sweet tasting, has your carbs and protein. Mochi ice cream, made in Japan but eaten just about everywhere, would be very important to my society because it's one of my favorite foods. Zaru soba, buckwheat noodles, are the healthier version of the regular plain white soba noodles. They come with plenty of fiber and are good carbs. The Joylet Club, written by Amy Tan, is a chick flick book, a book daughters should read to gain a better understanding of their mother's actions. It's definitely a female bonding family book. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is a story about friendship. It's an allegory with two meanings, one being concrete and the other abstract. The book was deep. It talked about racism and the meaning of friendship. Twain wrote about his satirical view of the institutions of man, such as religion. Tales of Symphonia, a manga from Japan, is based on the smash hit video game series. It's your typical hero story with a few plot twists. Eventually, it all bubbles down to one thing. Family bonds can never truly be broken, even with the passage of time. The Book Thief, written by Mark Zuzak, is extraordinary with compelling plot twists and lovable characters. It's the story of Liesel and her stay in an unknown town in Germany, which brings about nostalgia from childhood memories and adventure. My society will only have snipers who use bows and arrows, because unlike guns, bows and arrows don't make an explosive sound when you use them. Therefore, my snipers would be silent but deadly.
Come on, do it. It's a clean shot. What's the problem?
I'm nervous. What if I hit her?
It's too late for nerves, Rolf. If you're not up to it, just leave it to the master, eh? Watch and learn. One clean motion. No hesitation.
The top dog's rules: odd, obey or die. Rule number 1: treat yourself, others, the land, and the animals with care. Rule number 2: be a leader at times and speak your mind. It's better to have a say in something rather than not have a say at all. Rule number 3: don't reproduce unless the population is very low. I do not like overcrowded places. Anyone who disregards this law, will be severely punished. Rule number 4: if one is to steal or commit a crime, give him a punishment suitable to the crime he committed. For example, if a boy steals, cut off one of his fingers. If he steals again, cut off 2 of his fingers. Yet again, cut off his whole arm. Soon he won't have any hands or limbs from which to steal with. Some punishments could be worse, perhaps even death. After all, I do believe in capital punishment. Rule number 5: be a self-sufficient, independent society. You are guilty until proven innocent. Those guilty of crimes will receive punishments that are fit of the crimes they have committed. My society is a small, closely knit community, and as such, crimes rarely occur. The society doesn't have much technology, and there's always several people around. Therefore, people will call them as they see them. There's no reason to lie. If a crime were committed, however, the victim decides on the trespasser's punishment, which is then passed on to both Christopher Thomas and me to see if the punishment is just for the crime committed. So in my society, there's a hierarchy, but even though there's a hierarchy, everyone treats each other like family, and snobbish attitudes are kept at a minimum, with me as an exception, of course. So here's how the hierarchy goes. Me as the leader, commander. Christopher Thomas is my general, who watches over everything I do, and is second in command. Setsure is an assassin's creed to some extent. They are the head assassins of Grandiose. They are indeed the famed 6, and are known throughout the land as highly trained, deadly snipers. There are also blacksmiths, who operate in both the town and during war. In town, they forge new bows. At war, they repair broken ones. We also have panaceans, cure-alls, who are also known as sages. These people cure those who are wounded at battle and the sickly. There is no currency, just trade. If the land is always cared for, there will always be a surplus of food. Things will be eaten determined by season. So people won't fight over meaningless things such as material goods or technology. The place, or society, is set in a somewhat medieval/modern time period. The people live in houses made from wood, and the look is very similar to that of a traditional Japanese house. All houses in civilization is surrounded by grass, nature, trees, animals, and small rivers. Everyday streets are crowded with people walking, watching the sakura trees blossom and trees blowing in the wind. Although this society is composed of snipers, they also enjoy leisure, nature, and the company of their friends.